Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. Joining me now is my colleague, Forbes reporter Kyle Mullins. Kyle, thanks so much for coming on.
Glad to be here, Brittany.
You have some reporting on former Governor Chris Christie's financial disclosure forms. But before we get into what you found, give us some insight into who Chris Christie is.
Sure. So Chris Christie is best known as being the former governor of New Jersey. He was a two-term governor. Notably, he was a Republican, and New Jersey is a deep blue state. So he's somebody who frequently trades on his ability to kind of cross party lines, get cross party support, that kind of thing. He was he's had an on and off relationship with former President Donald Trump, which seems to be the sort of signifier of where you stand in the Republican Party. He's currently in the off setting. He doesn't like him very much, and he's running for president very explicitly on an anti-Trump platform. Some folks I've seen have compared it to like a kamikaze run, where like he knows he's probably not going to win. He's not popular in the Republican Party because he's taken such an anti-Trump line, but he's trying to take Donald Trump out with him. So we're gonna see what happens with Chris Christie. It's an interesting. He's a very high energy, boisterous guy. So we're gonna see what happens.
Speaking of that exact point, I mean, right in the last debate, he took a moment, he looked directly in the camera, he delivered a line to Donald Trump, he had a zingy, new nickname for him, Donald Duck. But aside from being very vocally anti-Trump, can you discuss what type of Republican he is, what are his politics, that type of thing?
Sure. I think Chris Christie falls into probably the moderate bucket. I think that makes the most sense, especially when he was governor of New Jersey. He had to work with Democrats in the state legislature to, get things done, pass laws, that kind of thing. He's never been a culture warrior. You won't see him railing about critical race theory or transgender kids or something. Like, this is not his kind of area. He's always been he's a law and order guy. He's tough on the border, tough on crime. He got his start as the district attorney in and one of the district attorneys in New Jersey. But I think he still pretty comfortably falls in like the moderate Republican bucket.
And you intimated earlier in the conversation he might not win. So how is he doing in the polls? Because that doesn't sound too good. Doesn't sound too promising.
No, he's been at about 3 or 4% in the polls nationwide since the start of his campaign in May. With the caveat, however, he is doing much, much better in New Hampshire than anywhere else. That could be kind of a regional thing. The New Hampshire does tend to like their those northeastern style politicians a little bit more, and New Jersey fits in that mold. Chris Christie falls in that mold. I wouldn't say that he's exactly the same as someone like former Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker or Vermont Governor Phil Scott. He's not quite as moderate as those folks, but he definitely sort of falls into that same general camp of like the moderate New England or Northeast Republican. I know New Jersey isn't New England, or maybe that's a controversial point.
I do want to now get into your reporting about his financial disclosure forms over the past 2 years. Point blank, how much did he make?
He made millions of dollars. So he himself reported about $4 million. His wife reported another at least $2 million, if I'm remembering my reporting correctly. So they're bringing in plenty of money over the last 2 years.
Now, break it down. First, where is his money coming from? And then second, where is Mary Pat Christie's money coming from?
Sure. So in 2018, after he left the governorship, he and his wife both wanted to make some money. Being a governor, it's a 6-figure salary, but you're not going to be making lots and lots of money. He went back and started his own law firm. He also started up a consulting lobbying type shop called Christie 55 Solutions. That's where he and his wife both work now, and that's where most of their money is coming from. But yeah, they got salaries, they got shares of those firms, partnership benefits of those firms. He also had a nearly $500,000 gig as a commentator for ABC News. That's always a reliable place to make money for post office or politicians between political offices. Is doing commentating on that kind of thing, and trying to think of and speaking fees, of course, another very reliable income generator. He had around $400,000 of speaking fees in the last 2 years. And then his wife, former Wall Street banker, sorry to interrupt. His wife, former Wall Street banker, now she's working with Christie. Most of her money's coming from that Christie 55 Solutions consulting shop. But she also sits on some corporate boards and makes some money from that as well.
His wealth, obviously, as you're reporting, clearly skyrocketed when he went back into the private sector. But what did his fortune look like while he was in office?
So he had plenty of money while he was in office. We're not, he wasn't, he definitely wasn't struggling. Again, when you marry a wife who works on Wall Street, you're going to be doing okay. I think he said at one point that like a joint checking account is like a real blessing for him. He and his wife both had these sort of blind trusts. They took all their investments that they accrued over the years and put them in blind trusts when he became the governor. Those are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars each. He also had, retirement accounts and pensions, those kinds of things. I think he had a little over $1 million in cash assets, plus his home, that kind of thing. That's what he was looking at in 2018 when he left the governorship. Since then, the numbers absolutely skyrocketed.
I know this is just a financial disclosure form over the past 2 years, but based on what you know about his finances, how does that stack up to the other 2024 contenders?
So with the caveat that we haven't done the final, net worth valuation yet, we're still working on that. My guess is he's going to be in like the high single millions to low double-digit millions. So that's going to make him, richer than someone like Mike Pence, Nikki Haley, certainly richer than Ron DeSantis, Tim Scott. Honestly, he's going to be pretty close to President Joe Biden, who, if I'm remembering Zach Everson's reporting, is worth about $10 million. Of course, that's also not going to put him anywhere close to the, mega millionaires like Vivek Ramaswamy, Doug Burgum. They're worth tons and tons of money. And then, of course, you have billionaire Donald Trump, who, while he didn't make the Forbes 400 this year, is still very comfortably, leading the pack in the Republican nomination.
Chris Christie has been a national name for a while. He ran in the 2016 presidential election. He was a commentator on ABC News, as you pointed out. So financially speaking, is it a good idea or bad idea for Chris Christie to be running for president?
So it's not making a huge difference one way or the other on his finances right now. Assuming he doesn't put all of his money into the campaign, and frankly, assuming he doesn't win the nomination, because it's not looking amazing for him right now, he's going to have a comfortable retirement ahead of him, regardless of the run for president.
Kyle Mullins, per usual, thank you so much for your reporting and insights, and I hope you join me again soon.
Always happy to be here. Thanks so much, Brittany.